I've done that. I've done it. I've done that. Okay. So you have to know when you're going to pull the plug. And we're going to talk about that real time in 2023. What changes the, the landscape, if you will, of the chart that says, you know what? It might move a little bit more, but I'm not interested anymore. I'm done. And that's going to piss people off. I'm like, well, why do you? And there, you'll see them. They'll come in afterwards. Oh, but look at this move here that you didn't take, and I took this trade. Good for you. Well done. Good for you. I'm not going to shoot that down, but don't come at me because you found something that outside what I'm willing to take a trade on. That doesn't mean shit. It just means that you found the setup and you engaged it. Well done. That's exactly what traders are supposed to do. Find an independent setup that they took on themselves and they manage the risk. And if it was profitable, great. The point is, I'm teaching people that don't know what the fuck they're doing. How do you go into this and do it right? How do you avoid all the likely pitfalls and snares that always trip up the neophyte new startups? See, you don't even know what you're likely to fall a victim to because you're too new. You have no idea how you're going to hurt yourself because you've never done it before. You got to learn from somebody that's done those things to themselves and learn from them. Not, yeah, just learn how to trade. I'm funded. Let me show you how to do. Fuck that. No way. No, 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 no way. I don't want a new surgeon cutting on me. Okay. Yeah, this guy's great. He was the he was the highest in our class, the graduating class. He got the highest grades. This is his first operation. The fuck it is. Not with me, it ain't. Goodbye. I'm out of there. See you later. Give me some old guy, okay, or old lady that's been doing it for a long time. I don't give a shit. Okay. They can shake their hands a little bit even. Okay. I'll rather have that instead of the person just came out of school. No, thank you. You don't have it yet. I'm not letting you cut me up. So when you're listening to someone that's teaching you, you don't want new experience teaching you. New experience is something to observe. You can appreciate it from afar where it can't hurt you, but you do not allow that to control any of your finances or the decisions thereof. Okay, because as good as anyone might be, because when I first came out, once I hit the ground running and got over the initial shock and awe of not knowing what the hell I was doing, I got a good lick in the marketplace. And outwardly looking in, you would have thought I had everything figured out. And to be honest with you, I thought I did too, because the market just kept going up. And as a 20-year-old, man, that's the worst thing that can ever happen, is because now you think you figured it out. Let me be honest with you. I loathe, I can't fucking stand when people call me the GOAT or the king, okay? And please don't ever refer to me as a GOD. I'm not. It pisses me off. If I see it, I'm going to delete you and ban your account. Okay. I don't think it's funny. I don't think it's cute. It pisses me the fuck off. So why? Why do I have this disdain for that? Number one, everybody else wants to be called that, and undeservingly. I believed I was when I was 20. I believed I was. And in 9 months of luck, gone instantly, reality check, and 1993 was that year, it sucked in a lot of ways because it bursted a bubble in me that I thought was ballooning up. And the reality of and weight of everything came crashing down on me when I realized that I could not trade as well as I thought I could have. And I struggled with my online persona because, here I was, I'm an inner circle trader in the making, but then I was Ox, OX. Okay, that was my moniker on America Online. And as a young man with a chip on his shoulder that neither one of my parents were able to show an interest in me, I felt like I had to prove constantly, prove, prove, prove. And a lot of you get pissed off, like, dude, why you keep trying to prove, prove, prove? Listen, as much as you might be meaning to be nice about that, and some of you also are being dicks about it because, like, dude, we get it. You're not going to fix me. Okay. So stop trying to mother me. Don't tell me that, stop trying to prove, okay? Because I'm going to tell you, fuck you, okay? Because it's built into me. It's a scar. I can't fix it. I know I'm never going to, satisfy it, but I can't stop being this way because it's obsessive, and I wrestle with it. See, the people that casually come into my Twitter and they see this kind of stuff, or they behavior, they listen to these tweets, or not tweets, but these Twitter spaces, and they want to do a psychological evaluation on me. Okay, fuck your psychological evaluation. Okay, I don't give a fuck about your assessment on me. Okay, you're not going to fix me. You're not going to change me. And I don't give a fuck if you unfollow. I don't care. I'm here to share what I know. If you don't like what the fuck I'm saying, get up the fucking road. I'm not charging you. But don't try to give me your psycho evaluation babble bullshit, because none of that's going to do anything except for piss me off. And then I'm going to, cut you off and take an opportunity for you to become better at something, and I'd remove it from you. Now, you could start another account, and that's fine. But what generally happens is they get pissed off saying this guy's an asshole, an arrogant piece of shit. I don't give a fuck about him. And then they join the bandwagon of other people and other channels, and they say, yeah, he's an asshole. Okay, whatever. I'm still sleeping this way, and you ain't changing it. But when I was 20, I felt like I was the greatest of all time, the GOAT. That was stupidity. It's dumb. There is no fucking GOAT in trading. Okay. There is no GOAT. There is no kings. Everybody in here makes and loses money, but nobody is as precise as me. And that does not make me the greatest of all time. It just makes me blessed. I know where it came from. I know whose hand it is. And I don't deserve it. So we'll leave it at that and not turn into a Bible study. But when you go beyond the scope of a 5-handle model and you open yourself up to letting the trades run, what you'll find is you'll take half off at 5 handles and let it run to a higher time frame objective. And what would that be like? Well, yesterday, because I knew the detractors out there that would take what I say and say, okay, 5 handles, 5 handles. That's all you can do. I'm trading hundreds of handles. My examples are hundreds of handles. Okay, so that's 400 ticks, not 20 and 30 ticks and calling it superiority. It's not. It's a growth period that you're going to have to go through. Nobody's going to walk out there watching a YouTube video from ICT or anybody else and know how to consistently find 100 plus handle moves in the indices. You're not going to be able to do it. You're going to be scared. And that's normal. And you see a lot of educators, because I see them, they talk a lot, a big game about knowing this and knowing that, and they can do this, and they can do that. But when you watch them do their live streams, their stop placements are all erratic if they use any of them. And many times their stop is opening themselves up to bigger risk, and they're trying to get like 2 handles or 3 handles. To me, that communicates what? They have no idea what the fuck they're doing. So they have no business teaching anyone. So the logic is flawed. It's lacking. So you have to choose your source very carefully. If they can't collectively bring together a logic and only frame the trade ideas in that logic, and use a stop loss and manage a stop loss the same way each and every time, then they don't know how to do what? Follow a model. They're not disciplined, and they're not aiming for something. Like, look at the examples I'm showing you. 4 to 1, 10 to 1, 12 to 1. You can afford to get those losing trades when you're aiming for things like that. But you can't go out there looking for those setups right away, because you have to grow into your understanding about what it is the markets are doing. How do you know that the fair value gap wasn't going to close, ICT? The fact that when you're looking for the 3864 level I prompted you on in the morning session yesterday, we had already drove deep from the opening at 9:30. It ran up, returned to the top of the fair value gap, premium high, and you'll know what I mean by looking at your charts if you draw them up like I showed you in the Twitter thread from yesterday's morning session. And it went down and dove down, made a low of the morning. Remember, it's going to be an inside day. Was the Thursday low likely to be taken out? No. Why? It's the last trading day of the year. No new money's going to be pushing anything. And the market's already been going down. So no new shorts are entering. So it's setting up the likelihood of what? A PM session reversal and short covering, and the algorithm will reprice aggressively, causing more what? More short covering. Everything I outlined and typed out in that trading view text. So what's it going to aim for? The level I showed you in the chart, I put a little trend line on. I said, make your chart look like this. Go back and look at the tweet. I can't delete it. I can't edit it. I can't do anything. Tens of thousands of people watched it happen right when I did it. More later on in the day. Extend that line out in time. It's a 3 o'clock hour. Where does it go? Right where I said it was going to fucking go. 38.64 buy side liquidity. When do you expect it to set up, Michael? The last hour of trading, PM session. Why? That last hour, the algorithm is going to run a series of macros. Macros are a short list of commands and orders that it produces fluctuations in price. Market on close orders are going to be a major driver, and one of those macros are just that. It's the last 20 to 25 minutes, specifically 15 minutes, that it'll kick in. And it's going to run for a pool of liquidity above or below the marketplace. All you have to do is do the work in figuring out why it should go to one or the other based on narrative. Narrative is what I outlined yesterday. The fact that it was going to be an inside day before it was an inside day, before the market even opened up. Knowing that when I left you in the morning session, I said, note the relative equal highs on your hourly chart. 38.64, because somebody asked later on, did you mean this? And I corrected everybody by putting it right on the same tweet when I said, note those relative equal highs on your 60-minute chart. In that tweet, I replied to my own tweet and said 38.64 ... That way there was no miscommunication whatsoever, even though you had it drawn out in your chart in the morning session before the market even started trading. So all those levels and those fair value gaps, extend them through into the 3 o'clock to 4 o'clock hour, because the algorithm is doing the same thing. It's referring back to those levels, not your old lows and your old highs and classic support and resistance and bullshit trend lines. That does not work. Okay. You're not going to be able to hold a trade with a 1 tick stop with a diagonal trend line. You will never see Forex trade like that, where you can hold a stop like that. That's why I laugh at all these young guys out there saying, I always use a 1 pip stop loss. I can do it. I can do it. You can do it with a fucking demo. Yeah, you can do that. But do it with size in a real account, and I guarantee you, consistently, you'll never do it. But in futures, that is possible because these markets are much more refined. There isn't all of these different servers. Everybody has the same high and low. So, and then some of you are thinking, well, why the hell did you ever stop leaving? Why'd you leave that to go to Forex? Because Forex was moving around a lot, and that volatility really, like, man, I'm going over there because I can cowboy up in that. But futures has always been highly precise. Way, and probably now you just discovered how much precision really exists in it. And even I have people that used to trade on the floor at the CME and the CBOT. They're students here. And they have communicated that they have no idea how the fuck I'm doing this. Now, these are the floor boys. These were the guys. These were the kings of the pit. And you don't think that that type of remark doesn't resonate with me? I know that they have they feel like they have hit the lottery here, because they have real world experience trading down in there in all the fucking chaos, screaming and hollering, big days, shitty days, big up days, big down days, crashes. They were in there. They were dealing with it, literally. And that transition from open outcry in the pits to go into electronic, and they got to now use a fucking chart. A lot of them couldn't do it. In fact, I got one floor trader that said, I could not make money when we come off the floor. And now I'm able to do it now because of what you're teaching. It makes so much fucking sense. Yeah. These are the floor fucking traders, okay? They do the pivot numbers and stuff, and that was their numbers. And then they watched everything else around the volume flow that would come in. No charts in their hands. They're working with the number. I came out of that era with them. I wasn't on the floor with them, but I was open outcry. That's the way things worked. Everything was slow. Now it's a push of the button, instant gratification, instant fill, instant confirmation. Everything's instantaneous. We didn't have that shit, man. You had to call up and wait. And sometimes if you got a busy fucking signal, you're flipping the fuck out because the market's running to your stop and you want to get the hell out of it. Or you're stupid like I was a couple times and didn't have a fucking stop. And I'm like, fuck, I'm going to get my ass handed to me. And they won't answer the fucking phone. What the fuck's going on here? Or I called, I'm flipping out and they say, okay, Lynn Doc, I can take your call. H desk. Okay, 1 second. H desk, how can I help you? Account number, blah, 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 blah. Okay, what's your pin? And you give them the wrong pin. It's not the right pin, right? No, it's not the right pin. And you're giving them the fucking price you're trying to get out at in soybeans. Yeah, that's how fucking manic it can be. Like, it's crazy. Like, and the whole time, the market's not waiting for you. It's not waiting for you. It's moving. It's moving. And then you got to wait for them to confirm what you just told them because they got to repeat it because everything's being recorded. And then once you say, yes, that's correct, they say, you want to hold for your confirmation? Yes. Okay. Then that sound of silence. And I'm looking at my quote track and I'm watching the fucking price just keep on steamrolling towards where it's Painville for me. That is the longest time interval that you're ever going to experience. And you don't have that now. You never experienced that, you young folks. You have no idea what that was like. None of you do. If you're less than, honestly, if you're less than, I don't know, maybe 40, 43, 44, you don't know what that feels like. Because you probably came up in the beginnings of electronic trading and the way of the dinosaur, open outcry, and things like that. That was falling away fast. But the reason why that fair value gap stayed open, I want you to think about you're into the race car, these funny cars. They're real long, skinny nose cars, and they race them real quick. The lights they go from like yellow, yellow, yellow. I mean, I don't know if that's the right color, but then they go to green and they take off and they start running real quick, and they have to use parachutes in the back to stop them. Okay, think about a market like that. Okay, think about what I've outlined yesterday on the morning session, and I left you with 38.64. That was make sure you note that because that's where the market's going to go. We go into the last part of the day, PM session, and if you did what I told you to do, make your charts look like what I had on mine, and extend them like I teach you in mentorship. Extend them through. We are not supply and demand. Okay, we're not Online Trading Academy. We're not Sam Seiden. We don't have an issue with cutting through candles because the algorithm looks through candles. Sorry, that's just the way it is. So when you have an inefficiency, just because it closes that inefficiency in, that's not balanced. It's not a balanced void. Okay, it's just repriced to the inefficiency. Those levels of the high and low that makes that inefficiency will still be referred to by the algorithm. You see proof of it just by extending it through into the last hour of trading. Now, at 311 to 312 to 313 New York local time, which would be 511, 512, and 513 on New York time on TradingView's chart, 1 minute. There's a fair value gap there. And you see me drawing that in the little light blue. I took all the other fair value gaps because it would have been too much because I knew I was going to put a watermark on it because I know any type of trade like that, everybody's going to put that on their Instagram and say, join my signal service. Look, I can do that. They're fucking assholes. So I hate the fact that I got to do this because I don't like seeing it clutter up the chart. But if I don't do it, everybody takes my shit and pretends it's theirs because nobody's pushing buttons and having this much precision. So if you take that 1 minute fair value gap, notice how it just bangs the bottom of it. It does not need to come outside of that 1 minute fair value gap because we've already touched the low end of the 15 and the 60-minute fair value gap. Once, you're probably saying, what the hell does that have to do with the funny cars and the racing, right? If you know the market's likely to go 38.64, and you know that the likelihood is everybody's going to be squeezed out of their short positions because the algorithm is going to start repricing higher, 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 spooling towards those buy-sell liquidity pools that I've outlined on the chart at 54, if my memory serves incorrect, and then up at 64. Okay, so the initial buy-sell liquidity, that was the first draw. And what I'm waiting for is I want to see speed. You'll see me say in there, I type it out and say, okay, you're going to start seeing large range candles and the speed. Study the speed. You're going to hear me talk about this in the live streams. You're looking for that. That is a signature. What does that mean? It's something that you should be seeing in price. If it's not doing that, you're probably offside or it's going to consolidate longer. And depending upon the time of day, if you're going into lunch, you want to cut bait. Don't trade. But ICT, we watched you trade in New York. That's me. I'm trading outside of what I've already been willing to share to you. I have other tricks and shit. I got all kinds of stuff. I got weapons you ain't never seen before, and I'm not going to share them all. I'm sorry. You can't have all my tech. I'm sorry. You're not entitled to it. I'm not teaching everything I know. But what I am teaching, what I've already taught, is plenty. So if you're expecting speed in the direction of that 38.64 level, what would you want to see? A real quick sudden move up, just like that, right? Now, for the gentlemen out here to have, and maybe some of you ladies too that are hot riders, if you have a fast car, and maybe you just got your license recently and you took your dad's car out and you want to burn some rubber, knowing damn well you shouldn't be doing it. But when you sit there and you neutral drop your car, I'm not saying that's a good thing, but some people do it. You burn out and you make a skid mark as the car takes off real quick. Okay. You want to see that in price, that burnout, that sudden run. ProCharge Mopar knows exactly what I'm talking about right now. He's already smiling because he's now getting it. That runaway, real quick move, when you're expecting speed to come into the marketplace, that displacement, you want to see it stay open. You do not want to see it come back down in. When you see that, that is a breakaway gap. When we had markets that were not 24 hours, okay, like Forex is 24 hours, and stock indices are not 24 hours, but there's a small window of time where 1 hour it's not trading. But you have a gap opening. That gap opening sometimes is useful. But when we didn't have electronic trading, there was always gap openings. You had overnight gap risk is what it was. Gap risk is always an issue. You didn't know where your currency futures were going to open up. You didn't know, where the shit was going to open up unless you were monitoring overnight, on the Globex, what was going on. And Globex is like the overnight session. So I'm trying to teach you to anticipate when you're expecting a market move to go a one direction, higher or lower, based on your bias. The narrative was, I left you in the morning session, 38.64, note that relative equal high, because that's where we're heading. 3 o'clock hour starts. We are finding real support at fair value gap discount lows. And we create a fair value gap on the 1 minute chart. 11 minutes, 12 minutes, and 13 minutes, respectively, on a 1 minute chart on ES. That fair value gap is drawn out for you in the recording. It's a little light blue one. I move my stop up just below the low of the 311 to 313 fair value gap. I'm just below that, one tick. And the whole time I'm recording this, I'm thinking to myself, they're going to shit themselves when they see this. And to prove it, I went in and I bought it again when it went down and touched the bottom of the fair value gap. Why didn't it go outside of that? That's what you're wondering, right? Why didn't it go outside that? Because it had already tapped the low of the fair value gap on the hourly, the 15, and the the 1 minute fair value gap. It had already touched it twice perfectly. And we were running short on time. We were running down the clock until 4 o'clock. Yes, it trades a little bit past that. That's not my point. The volume that's going to come in on market on close orders is 3:40 to 4 o'clock. That little window right there. Okay. Days that close with liquidity pools that have not been breached or engaged yet, you'll find that that little segment of time is a sweet spot for a model all in of itself. Who wouldn't want 20 handles? I pulled it out like it was nothing yesterday. 22 handles for the people that made fun of just 5 handles. It's 87 ticks per contract. So how do I know it's going to stay open? Just like a burnout. Okay, think about that funny car, that stock car that's real fast. And when that green light go, it takes off. It's going up the road. It's gone. You don't want to see it go back to the starting line. You don't want to see it do that. You want to see it what? Just keep on hauling ass. So when you're expecting price to deliver and run towards a goal and you have a limited time, what would that look like? Well, if you're trading in the 10 o'clock hour, 10 o'clock to 10:30, remember, 11 to noon is when things start creating the consolidation for lunch. Not that it will, but my expectation is things start to slow down going into lunch. And then lunch usually has a retracement, goes for the liquidity, during that hour or prior to it. And then it's either going to continue or reverse or stay consolidation. And that's a discussion entirely for 2023, because we will talk about that. But when I look at the market and I'm expecting fair value gap to stay open, I'm anticipating more volatility and velocity in the direction of that run. And see, the things that I saw with Chris Laurie's stuff, he never had that, never talked about that. Nobody else has ever talked about it either. I wish there was other books or authors and things that would talk about these things, because I could save myself a lot of aggravation, because I know it's going to take lecture and lecture and lecture doing this and also show it to you live. I have no problem doing that. But most of you that keep asking the same questions, even when I give you what I believe is the best I can articulate, it's frustrating for me because you're not going to connect with it because you haven't done other things. And for folks that have been with me for a while, the analogy of a burnout, okay, when the car takes off and skids its wheels as it's going real fast forward, that run up that creates that big candle one way, that's like that. Like that, it's a car. It's just finally been allowed to go quick, and it peels off real quick. Those instances when you're expecting the market to run hard, you want to see that stay open. Now, the question is going to be is, okay, well, ICT, have you ever had that instance where you felt it was likely to do that and it went back into it? Yes. If it does, I'm going to buy it. In fact, if you watch the video, I'm waiting because there was one time where I thought it was going to dip in there, and then that would have been institutional order flow entry drill. Doesn't change the bias. It doesn't change the fact that it's not going to go higher. It's going to go higher. It's just giving me an opportunity to buy it at a slightly lower discount. But in my logic is it will stay open. It will not completely close. It might go down just below the top of the fair value gap. That's institutional order flow, entry drill. It's a technique for high frequency trading. Algorithms use that as an entry model. Boom, 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 firing in there real quick. That's the other algorithm. The algorithm that is the price engine that makes price go where it's going to go, and no buying and selling pressure is doing anything about it. Nothing. How many contracts cause the S&P to move 5 handles? How many contracts does it take to do that? Think about that logic for a second. How many contracts, how much volume does it take to move the S&P 5 handles? Oh, shit. Never thought about things like that, did you? But the books don't talk about it either, so it's never come up in question, right? You only need one contract to book price. One contract, one contract, one contract. It does not matter. That's why when you see charts that used to track volume when we were a futures trader, market keeps going up. The volume bars keep going down. What the hell's going on? Volume ain't it, folks. That's not how you use volume. That's not how you use volume. You use volume in the sense that, hey, order flow is going to increase. The velocity of orders coming in and traders wanting to do something, you can time that. You can time it. Certain times of the day, it's like, well, at the opening, there's a lot of volatility, right? And that last 20-minute period of the last hour trading, you can plan on it again. So if you have untapped liquidity pools that are just so obvious, you're sitting right there, you know, that last 20 minutes of trading, that's how you do it. You aim for that. Now, what happens if you get it wrong, if it doesn't move in your favor and it stops you out or it doesn't move? That's trading, folks. That's just the way it is. You have to have a catalyst for why you're going to go into the marketplace and do whatever it is you're trying to do. If you're going to be a buyer, what makes that or constitutes a reason for you to be a buyer? There has to be some kind of logic that you're following behind you're exercising and inviting risk. You can't just, well, I feel like doing something because I got time. There has to be a logic as to why you're expecting it to do it. So, in short answer, when I'm anticipating gaps to stay open, I have already framed out the logic that it should be a market that should be moving quick. And if I see that, then I know I can do what? I can trust that my liquidity or inefficiency I'm aiming for will be traded to. That's why you see the confidence in my texts that people think it's cherry picked or that I'm adding it after the video's been done. There's no way you can explain all that shit. Okay. It's being typed through TradingView real time. And when I type the stuff, if it was something added on after the fact, like a, because I can take annotations and type it into a video on Camtasia. But when I add it to that, like for instance, look at my watermark, innercircletrader.com. Okay. That stays in one place. That's how you know it's Camtasia. That's added after the fact. That's an after recording annotation. In TradingView, do this and test it for yourself on Tuesday when the markets are open again. Go in there and type out something with TradingView on a 1 minute chart and then watch it. The annotations tick to the left when there's a new candle opening up. You're telling me that I have that much editing ability that I can go in there and I can fucking make 20 different things on my annotations all move in synchronicity? The fuck out of here, man. You're giving me way too much fucking credit for shit that ain't impossible. Just accept the fact that I can do this and you're going to see me do it anyway. You're going to be able to learn how to do this. Okay. Stop making excuses for holding on to dumb shit that doesn't work well for you. Okay. Or maybe you're struggling or you got to worship your hero or he's going to kick you out of your service or whatever. Fuck it. Get away from those type of people. If somebody's telling you, you better rep me in my community or you're getting kicked out of here, get the fuck away from that person. That's not a mentor. That's a nut job. Okay. You don't have to pay anything to be here. I have people in my mentorship that don't like my personality. I'm not kicking them out. They don't have to like me. I don't give a shit. You don't have to like me. I'm not here for friends. I'm not here for friends. I'm not inviting any of you over to my house. I'm not going to have dinner with you. Okay. None of that shit's going to happen. But I love turning average people into dynamos. I've done it before. And in 2023, I'm going to do a whole lot more of it. All these things repeat in the marketplace. They repeat at specific times, under specific conditions and circumstances. The job that you have is understanding which one of these things resonates with you. Some of you might look at the opening at 9:30 in the morning when equities open up. You know, when the bell stock market ding 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 opens. That volatility might scare you. Might be real terrifying for some of you. And I get it, that's fine. It's kind of like London Open on a high impact news driver on Forex. You know, it's scary. How do you sell short? How do you know when it's going to go? You put a stop loss in the event that you're wrong. You have to trust the logic that you're working with. See, when you read folks that are sending me tweets, and you probably see it with other people too, they'll say, how do you know to put your stop loss there? How do you know when to buy that when it's going down? How do you know it's not going to keep going lower? Well, if I knew for a surety that it wasn't likely to go beyond my actual entry point, I would never use a stop loss, would I? But because, listen to this, folks, this is the cream of the crop type of advice. This is the shit that you need to write down and make sure you understand it. I know the playbooks. I know the algorithm. I know the macros. I know what it's going to do. I know when it's likely to do it. But here's what happens sometimes. I almost said his name. A particular person says, well, you know what? We want to put a little bit more oomph in this move, and or it would be more advantageous for us if it went well beyond the scope of the average daily range that everybody would expect in the opposite direction. And that's manual intervention. So when manual intervention occurs, it's much like CPI or FOMC. Shit just comes out of nowhere. You can get wrecked by it. And sometimes it just keeps on going and going and going. And you can physically be harmed beyond repair in those types of moves if you're trading size. So it's like the roulette table at the casino. Everybody thinks, well, you know, you can go over there and you can bet on red or you can bet on black. All you got to do is pick red or black. Wrong. Wrong. Because there's a green. Green is the fuck you color. Okay. You might have odds that red is going to come up. You might have odds that black's going to come up. But that table in that casino is rigged. Just like the old riverboat casinos. Okay. A lot of people don't know this, but those riverboat casinos, they're roulette tables. They discovered underneath the wooden roulette wheel, there was these little metal paddles. Okay. And the operator of the table would have a paddle for red, a paddle for green, and a paddle for black. Okay. And people get in there and they bet their favorite number, their birthday, the day they got married, the day they had their kid, you know, whatever it is, they think that there's something special about it. There's a red 17, there's a black 17, whatever it is. They don't give a fuck about the number. They can't control the number. The number is not ever going to be controlled. That never, ever happens. The color is it. What happens is they say, okay, no more bets. And he waves his hand out there. Why is he doing that? Because he needs time to get an assessment on where the money is mostly. Is it more on red, more on black? And if he can't decipher right away what it is, he's pushing the green paddle. What does that mean? Underneath the wooden wheel, underneath every single one of those little squares that's either colored 17 or 12 or whatever, it's red or black or green comes up. Okay. The casino's in business to take money in, but they have to pay out, but they have to do it on a ratio basis. So when the money is being brought in, there has to be the majority for them coming in and they pay out the minimum. Payout minimum, intake is larger. Over the course of a day, a month, a year, they profit and people still make money. So the theory is this. If you were going back in time and you were on this riverboat, you could sit there and watch the guy say, okay, no more bets. Look at the stacks of chips on what color. Fuck the numbers. The numbers are the red herring. That's the magician's misdirection. You watch the color. Wherever the bulk of that color is being bet on, that's the fucking color that's not coming up. Now, underneath the wheel, the paddles would come up with magnets. Inside that little white ball, that ball is a magnet. It's polarized. So if that ball is bouncing around like it does, it's only going to settle on a square that will allow it to fall in. Think about how magnets opposite attract, same repel. So if the operator doesn't want that ball to fall in a red, then it's going to be the same polarity as the ball. So when it falls in there, it'll fall and bounce out and then fall into the nearest black. Who gives a fuck what number it is? It's falling in black. So red loses. So the table collects the payout to them as income with all the bets on red, and black wins. Who gives a shit? The payout's larger for the table coming in on red than the payout on black. The black, yeah, we won. Everybody's like, fuck yeah, this guy's hot. I'm putting my money behind him. So now the table's going to watch everybody's bet based on this dude. And if he doesn't have enough time to assess how much money is in there, which is better, green's coming up and they all lose. It's all rigged, folks. It's all rigged, okay? And this is the way it is. So those one-armed bandits, those slot machines, couldn't remember what they were a couple spaces back. I don't go to casinos, but they're the same way. They're only going to pay out once they take in so much money. That's it. That's why everybody goes around, they walk around the machines and they say, okay, I'm watching this person. He's been here for 4 hours. Okay, it ain't hit for a while. If they get up and get on that machine. Not because you are lucky, they know what? It's going to pay out. It's due to pay out. Now, take that same logic and apply it to time of day, day of week, report days, medium impact, high impact, liquidity, and it all makes sense. There's controllers in everything that we do. You go to work, you got a boss. You're going to put your money in the marketplace? There's a boss. That boss has a job. Manipulate the money from your hands into theirs. Oh, now you're going back on saying the brokers are trading against the client. I'm not even talking about the broker. I'm talking about an entirely different entity way above them. That's that collective entity that is smart money. That's who's working in all these things. This opportunity, this whole facade, thinking that you have a free and random market when that is not the case at all. How the fuck can I do what I'm doing if it's random? How can it be that precise if it's random? If there's no algorithm, how can I display, teach, and repeat over and over and over again? Here's my challenge to the naysayers. I want you to outline a market like I did on Friday. One-sided, very specific level, and then record precision entries, mark up the annotations, everything, record it. I don't need you to do it live. Record it through TradingView, because I know it can't happen through Market Replay. And then you post that and say, this is how ICT is doing it. It's cherry picked. You can't, because if you're managing a 1 minute chart, how many 1 minute charts can you manage another 1 minute chart going the opposite direction when you're managing that 1 minute chart, annotating it, constantly moving everything? Look, man, that's some bullshit. Okay. That's some bullshit. And takeaway is this: it was already talked about hours before in the morning session. There's no way you can argue against it. And I can do it live in any setting. Hello. So there probably isn't going to ever be another mentor like me. I'm a little unstable and probably lunatic fringe in most of your minds, and that's fine. that gets me. It makes me a little more interesting than the average person. But I use that like a carnival barker, just like I use the demo baller. Oh, let's just see this clown. What the hell? This guy keeps calling it right. Yeah. Yep. And I'm hiding in plain sight. Who's going to take a demo baller serious? Nobody. But anybody that's ever came to my mentorship, they only saw demo trades. They only saw me executing just like this shit all the time. There was no any other imitation except for seeing what you've been watching me do. And now you're all going to get a taste of learning just how to do it for free and real time. It's exciting, isn't it? If you're not excited, if you're not all amped up about, broadening your understanding about price action, and I don't know what to tell you, because it's going to be fun. It's going to be real fun. I'm trying to make sure I covered all of my bases here, and I think I have. So in 2023, outside of, I guess, the stuff I'm going to be droning on in the live streams, the invitation for you to be part of my personal life. A lot of you asked for me to do a little bit more of that. I guess I can, do a little bit more. I'm probably going to be recording a video today, putting it up there on YouTube just to show you the mobile command center, the ICT mobile command center. We have a Class A RV that you've probably heard me. Sometimes the audio doesn't sound great. You got to get yourself a new mic. You were listening to me in an RV. Okay, the acoustics in the RV is not the same as being in a room that has better acoustics. But I'm going to be traveling a lot this year, and I'm probably going to be coming down to your neck of the woods. And I'd be interested to do like meet and greets, in different states and such. I have to figure out how I'm going to do that because my wife and my 2 dogs will be with me. So I obviously you can't come on board with us because my dogs would probably want to chew your ass up. My wife probably wouldn't feel comfortable with that, but it's something I want to entertain. We want to see more of the country and get out there and use this thing. And the fact that I'll be doing a video or two a week from it will allow me to depreciate it also. So $300,000 gets wrote off over the course of 7 years. So that's how you do things. No lease required. But it's a mobile home basically. I mean, it's got 4 leather massaging heated recliners. It's got a fireplace, flat screen TVs, 1, 2, 3 of them, one on the outside, one in the living room area, and one in the master bedroom. It's got a crow's nest above the driver's area, and the dinette turns into a sleeping area. It's got a shower. It's got washer and dryer. It's really nice. It's really, really nice. And we went out with it a few times this year. And there's a couple states that I want to go to: Utah, I want to go to Wyoming, and I want to go to Montana. Those are some of the, and maybe some of those states you're not in or whatever. They're the main ones I want to go to. They're just beautiful out there. And Montana is another state that I'm thinking about getting property in. So there's a really, really bigger than the house I have now. Um, I'm really wanting to go see it. The seller is holding it like he's not putting it on the market for me or anyone else to buy right now because he knows I'm planning a trip in springtime. But if I like it, you will see it. Trust me, you will see. It's gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. 3 times actually bigger than this one here, and it's just beautiful. It's got a grotto and a huge, huge hardscaping, and just it's got tennis court, basketball court. It's got a go-kart track on it. It's just gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. Big old view of just loveliness all around it, and that's one of the things I'm looking forward to in spring. So I'm not a person that likes to fly. I don't want to be in the air, so RV does it for us. It allows us to go around and travel, and the old fuddy duddy ICTs, motor scootering around in a Class A RV. So, but anyway, when I post that video, just know that it's not because I'm bragging. I have to make sure that everyone knows that it's anchored to the channel, and then the digital nomad will be a playlist that will allow me to legally depreciate the $300,000 motorhome. So that's how you do things through the scope of depreciation and paying for things. Basically, it's not, I didn't get it for free, obviously, but you pay for it and then you can write it off over the course of the years and you make money. You just write that down. So it allows me to get better use of it instead of just buying it like anyone else. When you buy your car, it's you're done. But when I buy a car and I show it, and I own all my cars. Okay. Don't listen to these fucking people out there saying I lease my vehicles. I showed you lease vehicles, but I own all my cars. I own all of them. I have a car note with my son so he can get his credit, but we're about to pay that off. But you have to depreciate the vehicle then. And you get your accountant to help you with that shit. But you can make big purchases, but you have to have a real use for it. So if I just bought an RV and I don't use anything like the YouTube channel, that venue allows me to say, okay, well, I'm running a corporation through YouTube. I get ad revenue. I get sponsors all the time. And I could probably do about $30,000 a month just in sponsors. But I turn all of them down. I don't want to be that kind of YouTuber. So if you've received denials from me or ignoring your request, okay, it's not personal. I just don't want to do it because I don't want that kind of stigma attached to my YouTube channel. There's other people out there can do it. I'm sure I'll have students that'll be willing to do it for you, and they can make money like that too. And I'm encouraging all of you to do it and get good at what I'm teaching you. And there it is. And here's the thing, folks: you don't ever need to show a live account. You don't. Because if you can sit down live and call the market before it happens, sitting on TradingView, doing it live, because I got here at 426,000 almost subscribers on YouTube. I've never advertised. I never ran ads. And I just simply recorded myself doing trades with the logic that I taught. And there it is. So don't listen to anybody tell you that you have to do that. And if you're going to do signal services, you better damn well have a track record. That's absolutely guaranteed that you need to have that. But if you're going to run a service where you're going to call the market live, I don't call that signal service. Okay. But there's a lot of people out there. I have people in my own mentorship that are asking, is there students in their user group that are doing signal services because they want to do it because they can't do it themselves. So think about it. There's always different walks of life. There's all different types of individuals that's in this industry that some of them that just simply can't do it, no matter who trains them, how long they've been doing it, what works, what doesn't work. Some people simply won't do it, but they can't let go of it. So they want to be a part of it the only way they can, which is by hand holding with someone that can do it well. And listen, folks, 15, 16, $18,000 a month, ad revenue. I think anybody can live pretty comfortable in that. And you don't even need to do a live account ever. You're not obligated to do that because if you're out there explaining what your opinion is on the marketplace and it unfolds just like you said, who's going to argue against that? People that are trying to sell something else. Fuck them. Okay. They're broke. They can't build their audience. And if you're wholesome and you're honest and you tell people exactly what's going to happen and it happens, your community will grow organically. And there's a lot of people that don't like me. And that's fine. I get it. Everybody's entitled to their own opinion. But you can't say my stuff don't work because that's bullshit. Because it works. It works in my hands. It works in everybody else's hands that puts the work into it. And you're all encouraged to do the same thing. There's nothing, I'm not going to try to shoot you down, talk bad about you. There's a lot of people out there that are doing what I teach. I love it. I'm thankful that the Lord has allowed me to be impactful in that regard. I'm not running around saying, look at me, everybody's trying to be like me. They're all trying to do their own thing. And I was just the catalyst, the conduit to help them get there. They give me a high five. Thank you. Appreciate everything you've done. Run, run, man. I want to see you do it. That's the whole reason why I did this. Think about it. When I stepped out on Baby Piss, if you knew me back then, it was a social experiment. I wanted to see who could do it and what they're going to do with it. How they're going to make an impact in the world. To me, that's interesting. I mean, I have a very biased opinion about what it is I know and what I can do. But I also have limitations on what I'm allowed to do. And I'm not going to divulge any more than that. But if I can bring other people very, very close to what I can do, and I can live vicariously through them, that to me is like winning. Because unfortunately, I have handlers and I can't do certain things. So I have to do within the scope of what I'm allowed to do. This is it. But I'm going to push that boundary as far as I can in 2023. And I'm going to try to bring as many of you up as I can. And the only thing I ask you to do is very, very diligently work within the scope of where I'm placing your attention and only there. And don't do anything more. Don't try to stretch beyond that because you have extra time or you feel like it's not enough. Don't. Don't dilute your focus from whatever it is I'm trying to bring your attention to. If you went and just looked at yesterday's price action and you tried to look for things that are taught on my YouTube channel outside the scope of what I was doing, you would be very frustrated, which is the reason why I walked everybody through the top down approach from the daily 4 hour, 60-minute, 15-minute, 5-minute chart. I gave you the very levels that I'm going to have on my chart and what I'm looking at. Those levels are going to be influential in what price is going to do. And what's it going to do? It's going to gyrate around inside of Thursday's range. It's not going to go above Thursday's high. It's not going to go below Thursday's low. And it's going to attack that 38.64. And like gangbusters, delivered beautifully. And good old ICT was right there to scoop up on it. Recorded it, showed you the whole logic and how to trust when you're in. I get this question all the time. How can you trust holding on to your trade? Well, apply what I just went through with Friday's trading. 38.64 was a hard level. That was something that I brought everyone's attention to, and it's drawn on the chart well before any real reference to it. It's there. Those are the levels. Anytime I have a level on my chart, we are extending them in time. Extend them in time. till when? The next trading session. We were together in the morning, and then the afternoon's going to be trading, right? We still had trading hours. I just said, close your charts, enjoy the rest of the day, knowing damn well that most of you aren't going to do anything with what I've already said in the charts. And I'd come right back in and show you this is what you missed. Those levels, if you extend them into the 3 o'clock hour, you'll see that they're right there, lining up as what you would expect real support to act as. See, that was one of the problems I had as a developing student. John Murphy's book, Technical Analysis of Financial Markets, that is a retail trader's Bible. If you do not have that book, you need to get it and read it. And everything in that book, turn it upside down. And you will be a 90% bracket success story. It's just that simple. Everything in that book is horseshit. It's wonderful because it's programming everybody to do the dumbest shit in the world. Look at charts this way. And when you do, you shit yourself. Your account's blown, you have loss after loss after loss. It doesn't make any damn sense. And when I said to myself, I am not looking at this shit like this no more. I'm gonna fade this. And what gave me the idea was, there's a pattern, the head and shoulders pattern. It's a topping formation. And I mean, when I was trying to learn how to be a short seller, and that was one of the things I was afraid of, I didn't understand, how can you sell short something you don't have? How are you going to sell something you don't own? So it was a real struggling point for me, because, like I said, I'm not a mental giant, but the long and short of it is, when I first started dabbling in it, the pattern that I was trusting to be the reason why I'm going to sell short was the head and shoulders, where you have a swing high, a higher swing high, and a lower swing high. And it's like 3 swing highs with one higher in the middle. And then there, you connect the lows that run beneath the left shoulder and the right shoulder of that price action. And it should project lower the same amount or real close proximity to the range from the trend line connecting the two swing highs, lows to the highest high. And trust me, if you don't know what I'm talking about, because I'm just listening to myself now, it sounds like a bunch of shit. And it is. But if you go to Google and look up head and shoulders price pattern, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. Well, that was the pattern I was trying to train myself to trust as a short seller. Man, I got my ass handed to me over and over and over again. And when I look back at my journals, it's the times when I'm fucking trying to do like Friday PM session where I'm buying right there. I was looking at that as some kind of a topping pattern. Not that that was a head and shoulders pattern, but I would have been looking at that as, okay, it's done. Now it should start going down. Why? I don't know. It just felt like I should expect it to go down there. And that's exactly how I trade as a 20-year-old. It probably should. Probably should. Probably should. That's not a model. That's guessing. So a lot of the shit that's in that book by John Murphy is wonderful when you know how to trade like I'm teaching you. If you see those retail patterns in the market, in the price action, while my logic that I'm teaching you and how the markets are algorithmic, if there's a wrestling match between what's in those fucking book pages and what I've taught on my YouTube channel, that book's losing. There's your inside edge right there. If you can combine the times when algorithmically the things I'm teaching are likely to pan out, and you can see a retail fucking pattern that's in that book or any other YouTube channel that teaches that horse shit, that's losing and I'm winning. My logic is the market. That shit is just pictures and candlesticks and bars. That's it. Animal patterns don't fucking exist. That's all contrivance. It's all bullshit. You're making excuses for something that was completely in your favor, not because of logic. It just was happenstance. And that's why their hit rate sucks. And they have to do heavy leverage trades to get themselves out of drawdown. I don't have no fucking stupid ass, 50%, 60% strike rates. Fuck that shit. Okay. If I got to work within that, to me, that's gambling. That's gambling. If I can't know with a great deal of assurity that I'm on the right side of the marketplace, number one, how do you get like that? You use a top-down approach. Look at the weekly candle. Is it likely that the weekly candle is going to expand higher or lower? You're not trying to predict the close. Is it likely to expand higher or lower? Right away, that's 80% of your whole bias problem. A lot of you don't even look at the weekly chart. You're looking at the 1 and 5 minute chart because you see me trading there and you think I'm deriving everything from that time frame. I'm not. I'm starting all the way on the weekend tonight. I'm going to look at a weekly chart, not because I'm trading, but it's just because it's pattern. It's what I do. It's my routine. And I'm going to get a feel for what's it likely to be reaching for in the weekly chart. And that's my number one bias. I try to formulate every pattern with the most leverage and maximum risk management behind those trades in that direction. Right away, that removes the bullshit that most of you are going to blow your account on. If you trade like that, it's going to be very difficult for you to blow your account if you have discipline. You still can, but it's more likely that you won't because you'll be trading mostly in the right direction. Oh, how do I know which one's going to? Everything that you see me teaching in price action, you apply to a weekly chart. Is it in going towards a fair value gap above the market price? Is it going towards an old low below market price? It's either going to an inefficiency rather above the market or below the market, or it's going to a high above the marketplace or below a low below the market price. That's it. That is it. You have four conditions divided into two premise. It's going up to do one of two things: go in and revisit an inefficiency, a fair value gap, or it's going above an old high for buy side liquidity. Two things to worry about, folks. That's it. It's only two conditions. That's it. Two conditions. If it's not likely to go up, it's going to go down. So what's it going to reach for? The nearest inefficiency, fair value gap, or the nearest short-term low. And the nearest short-term low or inefficiency, if it's being bearish, you determine where you are in the market price during the times of the day when you're going to be engaging in trading. Is there enough of a range to allow for you to profit? If there isn't, you just don't do anything. You sit still, wait for a new opportunity. How hard is that? For some of you, it's impossible because you don't have discipline. You're not willing to wait, and you have to wait for these things to come together. There has to be an agreement of multiple facets in time frames, logic, time of day, economic calendar. All those things have to come into the equation. Otherwise, the results you're going to get are random, like it was for me. And when I got good positive results as a 20-year-old, not even trading any of this shit because I didn't know these things. I was just using stupid books. And I'm talking dumb books. And I didn't have a real good head start until I got Alexander Elder's Trading for a Living book. And the only thing good about that book is multiple time frames, 3 time frames, okay, not just making your trade decision on one. But the beginning of the book, where it talks about how you have to, deal with the mental things. And they talked a lot about alcoholism. Not that I've ever drank alcohol, because I've never drank alcohol, but I was raised in an environment that had alcoholics in it, and they were dysfunctional. And I had an uncle that introduced me to trading who was a functioning alcoholic. So all those things that he mentioned in the beginning of that book, which I think is absolutely essential reading. And again, I'll say the name of the book, Trading for a Living by Alexander Elder. I have all his other books. Fuck them. They're not as good. The beginning of that book, before he even gets into technical stuff, the beginning of that book is the gem. Understanding things from a psychological standpoint. In my opinion, that part of that book is way better than Trading in the Zone. Trading in the Zone is sugar-coated bullshit. Okay. No disrespect to the man. It's a good book. But Alexander Elder's portion of the book where it's all talking about the wrestling match that we have to deal with. And it made sense to me because I watched how all those things impacted my family members who were drunks, and how they couldn't succeed, and how they blamed everything outside of themselves. And that same shit happens in trading. Just because it's not alcohol doesn't mean you're not fucking drunk. You can get drunk in these markets and not even being profitable, but still drunk in the sense that you can't stop doing it, and you keep doing it knowing it's hurting you. And I did that in the beginning as a trader. And when I read his book, it made so much sense to me because I was like, wow, I'm fucking up, and I can't see I'm causing it myself. And I'm repeating these same things that are problematic. And even though I'm not a drinker and I've never drank alcohol, I could see very easily how I would be a terrible person as a drunk or a drinker of alcohol. And this is why I never done it. And well, that's not entirely why. My 16-year-old uncle passed away from a drunk driver hitting him, and he was drinking while riding it, and he's no more. So he was like a big brother to me. So that was a major thing in my life, why I never became an alcohol drinker and a cigarette smoker and a drug user. So I've never done any. I'm a straight arrow when it comes to that. But That book had a lasting impression on me as a developing trader. And I don't think I would be where I am today had I not read it, because it gave me a perspective on how humans interpret adversity, how we interact with adversity, and how we deflect the personal invitations that we place into our environment. And then when it comes home to roost and we have to deal with the consequences of that shit, we don't want to own it. It's somebody else's fault. And that you can't do that in trading. Like you cannot have that characteristic in trading. You own it. And if you suck as a trader, you have to admit that you suck. Either stop trading or find someone that can teach you how to do the right things, and then give yourself a lot more time than you think it's going to require. If you can't do that, just don't fucking touch these markets. I honestly mean this. Don't even trade, because if you can't wrestle yourself into submission over things like I'm talking about now, it won't matter how many times I sit with a live stream. I could literally push the button and you trade right behind me. And when I stop, you're going to fail because you haven't wrestled those demons that are, they're beneath the surface. You deal with them every day. They cause you to have anxious moments for no real reason, or to be angry and bitter when you're really no reason, to be jealous. All these things are character flaws. You have real issues going on inside of you. And if you have those things going on in your personal life, I'm telling you, the only thing that these markets are going to do is put a spotlight on those things, and they're going to amplify it. If you're a fucking drunk and you can't handle yourself with alcohol, or if you do recreational drugs until you lose your mind and shit, these markets are going to cause you to do more of that shit, and it's going to be the callus that does your ass in. You won't be able to look at, oh, I'm making money, it's going to keep me from doing those things. No, it's going to cause you to do more of those things, because when you get in these markets, the wrestling match internally, you can't make that candle go up. On Friday, I was 2.5 minutes late on when I thought that target was going to hit. I, I banned a guy on my YouTube channel and talking some shit. Oh, nobody can do that, dude. I do it a lot. I just happened to be 2.5 minutes late on that one. But I'm usually within a 3 minute window, just like on Forex. I'm usually 3 to 5 pips away from the highest high and the lowest low. That's the range of variance I'm allowing myself for precision. I'm usually exiting before that. Why? I want to be exiting, and I learned this from Larry Williams. I want to be exiting as it's sliding into where I think it's going to go, because even if I am, you know, profitable in the trade, I may not be able to get that last bit off because of spread, because of it just simply not going where I thought it was going to go. Because it mentioned earlier, Forex, every broker is going to have a different high and a different low. And that's an inherent problem in that asset class. And if you're demanding precision, you're going to have a lot of compensation with highs and lows and targets. So the way I compensated for it was I would get out 15 pips, sometimes 20 pips before it would go to where I thought it was ultimately reaching, which was in many of your eyes probably, an you know, over kill for it. But I got to live with myself, right? So to be comfortable with what I was doing, that's how I did it. And I allowed the analysis to reward me and say, yeah, it got to where I thought it was going to go. And because it's my results and nobody needs to see what I'm doing, I don't have to say, oh, well, fuck you. Even though I thought it was going to go to this level, it didn't go there. I don't have to listen to the bullshit, because even though if I do what I do and did on Friday, if I did it every single day of the week next year, I'd still have assholes and asshats in here trying to talk some shit, because they're miserable pieces of shit. They suck. They hate their life, and they can't do this. So they outwardly manifest what they're feeling about themselves. And that's what goes on in this industry. All the shit talkers, all these jealousy and these people that simply can't shut their fucking mouth or step up for real. Those types of people, they're plagued. They're plagued with real problems. And that's what's holding them back. Because if they weren't being held back, you would see all kinds of proof of them being able to do what, like you saw me do yesterday. That's real precision. That's real algorithmic delivery. Okay. Not retail shit. Okay. None of that stuff that's being used and tossed around as Enigma. Nobody knows Enigma. I've never taught it to anybody outside my family members, and they're never going to know it. Okay. I don't give a fuck. You can drag my ass in front of a court. CFTC will not pull it out of my ass either. I am not going to teach it. You want to see me demonstrate? I absolutely fucking can because it looks just like yesterday. Now, I am ready. I'm ready to teach you way beyond you thought you'd ever be able to become good at. But if your head isn't in the game the right way, if you're in here to try to debunk, do that before I start in February because you can do it. You can go through some videos and you'll come to a quick conclusion that, yeah, you can't debunk it. So put that to bed. Show up in February. On the 7th of February, I will resume mentoring. I will be live streaming on February 7th on YouTube, and we'll all come together and we'll start outlining what our expectations should be, and I'll start teaching you over the chart in real time. And I promise you, you will learn over time. It won't be, oh, I watched that one live stream. Now, no, no. You need to make sure that you understand that this takes time seeing things repeat. The things that I'm going to talk about, they won't feel like they make that much of an impact. Like I didn't learn anything because you're all looking for entry patterns and indicators to flash across your screen and shit moving around on your chart that hides price action. Fuck all that. That's nonsense. Okay. The algorithm is not looking at triangles and patterns and emojis swinging around on a chart. Okay. That's all nonsense. That's attracting like a carnival. You remember going as a kid walking through a carnival and you got the carnival barkers. Hey, hey, come on over here. $1 gets 3 chances. Let's go. You can do it. Get the pretty girl up here. She can do it better than you, guy. Come on. Jealousy causes the guy to say, you know what, asshole, I'm going to go there and I'm going to win. And then he's spending his money, losing, and his girlfriend's embarrassed. And the carnival barkers made money and put the coin in his pocket. You can't fall victim to shit like that. You can't be induced into doing dumb shit because a chart looks flashy or it looks more technical because it has more lines and indicators and shit all over it, like these heat map trader guys. There's a guy I'm watching on a live stream now. I don't know what the fuck this guy's got going on in this chart. It looks ridiculous. It's like a bubble magnifies on the chart. What the fuck is that supposed to do for you? Dude, just tell me what time frame you're in. Okay, I'm going to tell you the liquidity or the inefficiency is going to run to. Okay, and then we're going to stick with just that. I don't need a trend line. I don't need no indicators. All I got to do is look for those types of things. It's four things to determine. First is it going up or down? How do you know that? Where did it just trade from? Did it take liquidity or has it reacted from an imbalance? And how's that fit inside of the weekly expansion? Because you got to go right back to that root of the weekly chart because that's where the algorithm is. Oh shit. And you see these guys out there, the live streaming. Yep, I'm going long here. I got this little thing swinging around telling me I should be a buyer. Oh, I'm gonna go short now. Oh, and oh shit, I got stopped out. Market doesn't like me today. No, you don't know how to fucking trade. Okay, you're trading against real institutional order flow and real algorithmic price delivery, and you're drawing down in front of everybody. If you just would have simply held onto the trade that was going long and let it rip, if you really knew what the hell was going on, you would have done well. You would have done $15,000, $12,000 on a Friday too in a PM session, but you didn't. You didn't because the logic is unknown to everyone else. The people that dig into my course and all of my lessons and listen to these long-winded shit here. Okay, there's three people that come into this Twitter space here. One, people hear me. As soon as I say something that sounds arrogant, oh, fuck this guy. Goodbye. See you later. I don't want you here anyway because you can't be taught. It's confidence, not arrogance. It's authorship, not pride. Then you have the other crowd that is ready to listen. They can see and hear that I went through this shit. I hurt myself doing this, and they don't want to repeat that same shit. They're smart enough to know this guy's going to tell me how I can avoid majority of the pain. I want to learn that and still get me to the end result he's aiming for as a teacher. And then you have the other person that comes in here and says, this is bullshit. Everything about this is bullshit, despite the proof and everything it's being shown. So I know that that's always going to be the case. It's always been the case when I was on America Online too. But because of social media and the ease of people feeling like they can say anything they want, in the safety of their cell phone in 4-inch universe, knowing that they're so far away from the person they're talking shit about. They would never do that in front of them. And the anonymity hides them. And they're living mundane little lives that don't do shit. They are nobodies. And because they're miserable, they're going to say things to you when you step out there. If you have a YouTube channel or if you do a service, and they're going to claim that you are a scammer or a fraud, despite being able to do what nobody else can do because they feel like they have to do it because they can't stomach it. They can't do it. And you have to sit back and let them roast in it, stew in that, because you can't fix them. Despite ever trying to, you can't. I tried it. You can't reach these people. They think that they're gonna take you down, they're gonna hurt you. They're not gonna do shit. They're gonna still be right where they're at. And you're gonna elevate more and more and more and more. And they're not gonna hold you back. Your friends aren't gonna hold you back unless you let them. Your job isn't gonna hold you back unless you let it. Your job isn't gonna be the reason why you can't be successful. It's going to be the reason why you're fucking going to be successful because right now where you're at, that money, that's it. How much you anticipate getting a raise next year? Think about it. How much of an increase in pay are you expecting to get from your boss or your company? How about this? Are you sure you're going to be still employed next year? If the economic downturn increases into next year, it might. If it does, how would that impact you and your household? You got to get right. You got to get ready. You got to make your house ready. You got to find a way to get income. Learn how to do this skill, trade, get funded if that's what you want to do, if you don't have the funds to do it. Multiple streams of income, YouTube, showing your prowess. There's nothing wrong with that. I don't think it's bragging. I don't think it's showing off. I think it's you doing you. And if people have a problem with it and they're jealous, fuck them. Fuck them. Because if they could do it, they would do it too, and they wouldn't give a fuck that other people can do it. I don't care that other people are doing it. There's lots of other YouTube. Listen, I've already said it in this video. Oh, well, not this video, but this space and other spaces. I got every bit of respect for even the assholes that don't like me. That if they get out there and they live stream, fumble around in my, the market replay and fake demo accounts and calling it live accounts, do it. If you're pushing a button in front of other people, go right ahead. You're in funded accounts and you're out there and you're pushing a button and you think it's going to happen. Look, man, all the respect to you. Great. That's just not my cup of tea. I don't need to do that. I've never had to do it and I ain't going to do it. But I'm going to be out there next year and I'm going to be outlining where I think the market's going to go. And I guarantee you, every one of these live streamers are going to be listening to my shit. They may not like it. And if I get it wrong, you're going to hear that they watched it. But you won't hear it when the 90% club is this is what happened and this is what it panned out. And see, that was the main takeaway for this year. I want you to know this in closing because we're closing this space. I know it's been a long one, but it's the last one, right? So when we spend time together next year and we go through the process of looking at what the markets are doing and how it's likely to draw towards one pool of liquidity or an inefficiency above or below the marketplace, over the course of the week, you need to be able to take stock on what it is that transpired. How many times was it right versus how many times it was wrong? By doing that, what that's going to help answer for a lot of you is that scared feeling of, oh, what if my trade is wrong? Or what if I do it wrong? If you're afraid to do it wrong, and that's an impediment for you beginning, then I can see how that would be paralyzing. But we're going into this with no buttons being pushed the whole year. You're telling me I shouldn't trade? I'm telling you, if you don't know what the fuck you're doing, you shouldn't be in there doing that. No, you shouldn't be in there trying to get funded accounts. You should be learning how to read price. I promise if you do that for this coming year, you will have no difficulty getting a funded account. And then once you get that funded account, you're going to know based on what I teach you next year how to manage that funded account so you don't lose it. And you can take from it and harvest income. And you need to do it soon because I believe that those funded accounts aren't going to be so accessible soon. It's just a gut hunch. I might be completely wrong, but while it's available, you need to be taking advantage of it. But don't think it's going to be closing up next month. couple years, it might not be there. And it'd be best if you could just harvest what you could from it while you can. Get your scratch raised up, your money, your bankroll, the way you can, and get your side hustles on YouTube, you know, account service, not account service, what am I saying? Like analysis communities where, I have no problem someone coming under my wing, learning from me, and then going out there and monetizing their skill set. I'm not going to look at that. Oh, you asshole. You copied off of me. I trained you. That was the whole intent. I'm telling you to go out there and make fucking money. That's the reason why I did this. I didn't make this so I can be, followed the most on YouTube, and that's it. I want people fucking making money. I want to know when I lay my head down, I can think back and say, you know what? I've impacted people's lives for the better. And now nobody can find fault in me. I'm not charging you. I'm not taking anything from you, but I'm promising you, you are absolutely going to see shit on a different perspective next year. You're going to see it. You're going to understand it. You may not be able to execute like you see me doing because that's unrealistic, right? But finding one good setup and knowing that that's enough and stopping until you grow in your own personal ability, that's the proper way of learning. That's a real mentorship right there. That's it. That's being taken under the wing by someone that knows how to do it. You don't have any animosity because you're not being asked to pay for something you can barely afford. And then you're worrying about, is it really worth the amount of money I paid? No, no amount of money could be paid to me to justify what I'm willing to do next year. You couldn't pay me. It's because I want to do it. I want to do it. I want to help you. I want to see you succeed. And I want to have a small part in that. Not because I want you to worship me. Once you get there, hey, man, I appreciate it. Thank you so much. That's enough. You don't have to have a memorial to me on your fucking YouTube. Okay. You don't need to have a license tag, ICT got me here. Fuck all that. That's worship. I don't want that. Just acknowledge, give me thanks, and that's it. That's all. That's all I ask for. Isn't that reasonable? That's reasonable, isn't it? I'm not going to ask you to do something beyond just working towards it, the effort. And I want to share that moment with you, a small moment of it. It's all yours. It's all your credit. But I just want to have that moment where I can look at you and say, I told you, if you just gave yourself the chance, look where you're at now. Look what you were able to accomplish. Look at where you're at right now and what you can do. That feeling of accomplishment that you grinded through all the bullshit, all the horse shit, everybody doubting you, your fucking friends, your fucking spouse, your fucking anybody online ever said anything about you. You know what it feels like. They said something to you. You got a chip on your shoulder. That shit falls off and smooths out real quick when you start making $30,000 a month. Real fucking smooth. You ain't got no problems then. I want to see and hear your testimonies. I don't want to see it in the text. I want to see people's faces this time next year. I want to see them say, this totally transformed everything. And this is what I'm going to do with it. I have had so many personal testimonials sent to me like that with video. And my wife and I, my kids, I'm moved. Because I know what it was like for me. It was very, very hard. And I didn't have any of this support structure you guys have. And this is my entire life. I pour everything into my students because I want them to succeed. I don't want them to have any of the hardships. But some of you fight me and you arm wrestle me and you want to do it your own way. And I know it's not the right way. And you don't know that it's not the right way. Everything in your life's about to change. You don't understand how much yet. And I'm trying to do the best I can to make it a little bit easier. And for some of you, you're going to take this skill and do amazing shit with it. You're going to live a totally different lifestyle. And I don't want you to be selfish with it. When you see somebody in need, help them. Not when they ask you for it either. Now, I'm not talking about, I'm going to help them by teaching them. And that's not what the fuck I said. Help them. They need something. Provide it. Do it anonymously. You see somebody in the grocery store, they're pushing a cart around. You can read their face. You can see it. They're broke. They're, come behind them and pay them. Tell the cashier, I got them. I do that every time I go to the grocery store. When I first got with my wife, she was like, what are you doing that for? She didn't understand it. I said, never tell me that again. Don't ever speak to me about it. Don't ever ask me to justify why I'm doing it. You want to touch somebody's heart, you do that. And when they turn to you and they say, you just let me have enough money for the rest of the week. The rest of the month, I don't have my rent money, but I can feed my kids now because of that. It costs you nothing, man, to do stuff like that. It costs you nothing. And think about how many times you know you were standing right next to somebody that could have used a hand like that and you didn't do a fucking thing because it felt uncomfortable. When you live your life like this and you want to do it for people, and I've had people say, no, I don't want you to do that. Some of them actually cussed me out. I didn't ask you for a handout. It's going to happen sometimes. But you want to leave an impression, a good one. And when you start doing things like that for other people, it's contagious and you want to do it more. And it changes you. Because as a 20-year-old, I was a real arrogant prick and I was self-centered and it was all about me. I never would have helped anybody else in the store. I never would have gave them anything. I never would have bought them a car. I never would have gave them a house. I never would have done any of those things. I never would have paid for their children to get through school. I never would have gave their kids clothes, school supplies the entire time they had their whole schooling. I never would have done those things. I was all about me. I had to make me feel good. And the more I did for me, the shittier I felt about everything I was doing. I felt like a vacuum. I couldn't fill it. Everything I tried to do that was all about me, looking good, driving this, living like this, spending that. The more I poured into it, the more empty I was. The more money I made, the less I felt I had any. I didn't have any substance, none. So you have to have a planned direction what you're going to do when you have this money coming in. What are you planning to do with it? I see a lot of people. Yeah, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to be this and this. It all changes when it's all about them. Because when I was 20, I was the same way. And don't don't think that that won't help you be a better person when you start doing, because it will. And then when you start trading larger, you start thinking to yourself, you know what? I'm not taking this trade to do something, for me financially, which drives people into dumb decisions, like it did with me when I was 20. I can remember the day I was dating my. I know we were supposed to close this space, but I got some shit to get off my chest. So, June 1995, I was dating my oldest son's mother, and I had already found out that she was a married woman. She was pregnant, due to give birth in October, and she threatened that she was going to raise the kid, which I didn't know if it was a boy or girl yet, um, with her husband at the time. And then he would call me out and threaten me, saying that he was going to let the child hurt itself and he wasn't going to do anything about it. And you can only take so much of that kind of shit before you start doing things that you normally wouldn't do. And to make this woman feel like she had a chance with me, so that way I could see him born and my name on the birth certificate, which would make custody issues a lot easier for me. I asked her, I said, what would you like to do? Because she didn't believe that I wanted to be with her, which I didn't. So she goes, let's go to Hawaii. Because you got all this money, let's go to Hawaii. I said, okay. So I said, try to find a flight and a hotel and we'll go. And I meant it. So she says, there's nothing until next week. I said, well, we can wait till next week. No, and let's go. I want to go this weekend. I said, well, name something else. So let's go to Bermuda. All right, find something in Bermuda. So she found it was called Sonesta Beach Hotel. It was the largest hotel on the south tip of Bermuda and gorgeous. It's not there anymore. Hurricanes tore it off, but you can Google it and see it was there. But it had three 5-star restaurants in it and just amazing. But we flew out there, and the whole time I was there, the majority of the time that we were on that island, I was in the room. We went out to eat. I didn't want to be with her in public. I didn't want to do anything with her. We took one scooter ride. I felt my son kicking me in the back. But apart from that, it was miserable. And what was I doing? I was spending money on something that was not wholesome. It was just to let her believe that I wanted to be with her and her husband. You know, I back then we had pagers. We didn't have like the ease of everything we have right now. Like I'm talking to you on this cell phone and you're listening to me everywhere in the world. That whole business of communication wasn't available to us yet. So we did everything through pagers and we would send messages through the numbers. So because he was always constantly sending me voicemails in the evening time saying, you know, what he was going to do and how he's going to take me to the bank and he was going to do this and do that, which I understand. He's mad. You know, I didn't know his wife was married to him. I didn't think she was married, but I ended up getting her pregnant and I was stuck. I had to figure out the best way to manage it. And I didn't have anybody that could tell me the best advice, obviously, because who gets in those types of environments, right? And I was young, I was stupid, and with money and no real guidance of any kind. And here we are, we're in Bermuda, and I had to just let this motherfucker know. I said, "We're in Bermuda, motherfucker," and I typed it out in the code of when you look at an old push button phone, one is ABC, two, so on. It's 3 letters each button or whatever. And you would have to sit down and write the numbers out and then figure out. That's how we did the shit. You young folks are like, what the hell? You older folks know exactly what I'm talking about. You're laughing like, yeah, we used to do that shit. But I wanted him to know that I did that. You know, I flew his wife to Bermuda, and she lied and said she was doing something with her girlfriends on a pool league in Vegas. And I wanted him to know that you're a piece of shit for doing what you're doing. I'm an asshole for sleeping with your wife, but I didn't know I was sleeping with your wife. I thought I was sleeping with a single woman that didn't have a kid. And obviously, when she got pregnant, she laid that on me. It's my responsibility. It's mine. You know, it is what it is. But when you have money and you do things like that, or if you get caught up in situations like that, and young men, listen to me, you think having lots of money, you're going to run around and be promiscuous. A lot of women, different women all the time. You know, everybody's in this Andrew Tate shit. What a piece of shit that guy is. Okay. I don't want to hear anything about that fucking guy. He's not a top G. He's a piece of shit. Okay. It is what it is. His views on women, stupid. And bottom line is this: if you think that that's what looks sexy or handsome or put together for a woman, nobody's thinking that guy's put together. He's a clown. He's an entertainment piece, and that's it. Okay. Made lots of money doing stupid shit. And whatever. That's one thing. He's young. And I guarantee if he lives long enough, he'll come out and say, I did dumb shit. I should have done. We all do. But when you're young, like I was young, I wanted to live a certain life. I wanted the Ric Flair lifestyle. I grew up listening and watching this guy carrying on. And long and short of it is, when I got the money, I started doing that shit, renting limousines, going to, really fancy restaurants, taking all my friends out there and just trying to live it up because I wanted that public appreciation that, hey, look at that person right there. Because remember, I grew up modest. $350 a week was a lot of money. That was my grandfather's earnings at Essex Lumber Yard. And we lived in what was called Cardboard City. It doesn't exist anymore, but it was Villa Gardens. Okay. And that is white trash as you can get. That's where we come up from, Middle River. And when you get a taste of having money and you heard other people in other neighborhoods and other areas in the state and local area where you grown up in other schools that are better than their kids and shit, and you're fucking their asses up in fights, but they're beating you in all the opportunities in life because they are in a better position because they can afford to go to better schools. They have a family that has both the father and the mother, and they have advantages that you don't have. I had all that stuff growing up. And when I had a taste of real money, I wanted the exact revenge on everybody. Like it was like a fucking movie, dialogue in my head all the time. Like I wanted to show the world, I'll be back, Terminator bullshit. And the more I did that kind of stuff, and my friends would be like, man, this is awesome. What they're saying is, it's awesome. I ain't got to pay for it, and you're paying for it. That's what they're saying. And that's exactly what your friends are going to say to you. But you're going to interpret that as, you're awesome. You're going to hear that. Your subconscious is going to hear, you're awesome. No, you're a sucker, just like I was being a sucker. Okay. I got wrapped up into a married woman issue because my friends told her I had money. She saw I had money, but she didn't know to what degree. And I didn't know she knew that. So when she invites me into a situation where I thought we were going to be friendly, we got friendly, but it cost me a lot. It cost me 21 years. So I had to live a life a different way, hide things from her. And no, I wasn't a deadbeat dad. I had joint custody, but I beat her in child support. The courts came to the conclusion that, I only had to pay $14 a month towards health insurance. And they said because it's only $14, they just waived it. And I carried health insurance on him. So winning is a thing for me. Okay. I try to make sure that I stay ahead of everything as much as I can. And I had to learn that from hardships, doing dumb shit, school of hard knocks, getting into situations that money put me into and not knowing how to handle myself. So if you're thinking you're going to take this stuff and run around and be an Andrew Tate type fucking clown, look what just happened to him. Look what happened to him. Okay. If you try to be the hardest nail, somebody's going to act like the fucking hammer and nail your ass. Okay. And it ain't gonna be somebody from fucking Texas. It's gonna be somebody from, some authority, some figure that's gonna come down and squeeze your ass. Okay. And let you know that you're insignificant and you can be touched. But your friends and your family are gonna paint a picture for you that isn't gonna be what you're expecting on either spectrum. They're either gonna be jealous of you, like my family was. They literally were so jealous. And then they wanted things given to them for free. My aunt and uncle, who I paid room and board to, my uncle not so much, but my aunt really took advantage of, what I was earning under her roof. But if she would have said, pay me more per week, I would have done that. Not, can you pay for a new pool liner? Can you pay for a new roof on our house? Can you pay for new furniture? Can you pay for our vacation to Florida when we can't afford to do it and we want to go with your aunt that does have money and we don't want to be embarrassed by that, and we don't have money to pay for this, that, and the other thing, and all those guilt trips that you don't realize that you're experiencing, that your friends and family will put on you. Those things crop up like easy when you have money. You might not see it, or you might see it and it make you turn it off and say, you know what, I ain't got to deal with none of you. which is eventually what happened. And I spent 10 years away from most of my family. My own children, not what I'm referring to there, but I'm talking about cousins and aunts and uncles and things. I distanced myself from all of them because, you know, they didn't like, I was able to find success and they worked their whole life and owe still money on their homes that they had to remortgage and refinance and get equity out and live their lifestyle and owe 3 times what their house cost back in the 80s. And you can't sell it for what they got wrapped up in debt. So they're miserable people. And they are the product of what Alexander Elder talks about in his first portion of his book, Trading for a Living. The children of alcoholics are absolutely victimized. And they grow up with mindsets that are so warped, even if they never touch a drop of alcohol, they're still fucked up. And my aunts and my uncle and my mother are a living testimony to that shit. And they never really amounted to anything, but they're miserable. Like I couldn't be around them in the holidays because all they talk about is everybody else and how so and so's this and so and so's that. And I'm listening to them. I'm like, you got nothing. You're all broke. You're miserable. You're in debt up to your eyeballs. And you got the audacity to talk about other people. And that's why I said I can't be around you in the holidays. It's a drain. I feel like vampires suck the life out of me. And for 10 years, my whole existence around the holidays has been much better experience. Keeping toxic people out of your life. And in the beginning, when you start finding success, you're going to wrestle with that. Once you realize that they're toxic, and if you can't talk them into understanding they're being toxic, and it's not going to be probably successful if you try to do it anyway, the sooner you get away from that shit, the better, because it will mess with you. You'll feel guilty about not being around them, like you're being arrogant, or you're being a jerk, you're being pompous. You're not. You're living your fucking life. And there ain't no shame in that. What says you have to be around toxic people? Who says that you have to be around people that is constantly drama ridden, ate up with drama? If that's what your life is right now, the only thing that's going to happen is you're going to make more of it because you have money. That's what's going to happen. You want to see somebody that is successful, that has their shit together? How much drama they got going on around them? How much are they providing in terms of drama? How much are they producing of that drama? That's how you tell whether somebody's successful or not. Because if they can find themselves in a position where they can just remove themselves from drama and not give a fuck what anybody says, who cares? Whether it be friends or family, who cares? That's successful because they know that they can't change that. You're not going to be able to change, especially if you're a young person. You're not equipped to. You don't have the worldly experience that, unfortunately, like everybody else tells you right now. And I was told the same thing. You'll understand when you get older. Well, at 50, I know a whole lot more than I did when I was 20. And the ass backwards way of thinking about money and relationships and people are totally different now. It's diametrically opposed to what I felt and experienced as a young man. And coming up and making lots of money, that experience is, well, if you're not equipped mentally to handle it, you'll self-destruct. And while I wasn't a drinker and I didn't use drugs, my vice was pride and arrogance. Do you think I'm arrogant now? I'm not. I was absolutely disgusting. Not like Andrew Tate, where it's oozing disgusting. Okay. But it was close to it. And because I had a chip on my shoulder, because my first wife leaving me for an older man, and she was young, wasn't even 18 yet. And the whole neighborhood knew about it. So the whole neighborhood shut his business down, ran up a bill and a tab for groceries, and never paid it. And that was their way of getting back at what he did to me and my family. I didn't ask any of them to do that. Think about that. That's instant karma. And she's living a life with some guy, you know, honestly, 20 minutes from where I live right now. And she's in no better position than she was when she left. And I'm living a totally different life. And I have been often wondering, what she would think if she knew. And you're going to do that, young men. You're going to, and young women, for the ones that find success in this, and maybe some men have cast you to the side because they didn't want to do anything with you anymore. They found something better in their eyes and chased something else. And as a man, there comes a time when the term chasing tail or chasing someone for another knock on your bedpost, that's no longer a pursuit. You want to have a meaningful relationship. You want to be able to sit down and have a conversation with your best friend who you're also intimate with and that you raise children with and you can confide in and you can trust your finances with. That's a life partner. That's someone that your whole life revolves around. And you want to do everything to make them happy. I am at that point where my wife is asking that of me. She's been very patient with me and allowed me to divulge a lot of my insights and experience and time with all of you. And I think that's reasonable. And I know it's going to be met with some people saying, you're a jerk because you don't do this anymore and blah, blah, blah. Just know that I know that some of you are going to say those types of things. And I know that you probably don't really mean it in the way it's going to come out, but I don't give a fuck. Okay. I have a wife that I want to maintain happiness with. I have a family. I'm a 50-year-old man that can still boot, scoot, and boogie. No, I'm not a country fan, but I want to be able to do that while I have time. And things might be getting harder, as I've been talking about. And I want to try to jump on that opportunity while I can. But I also want to go out with a clear conscience, knowing that I did everything I could except for trade your account for you. So if that isn't enough after next year, I'm going to apologize and say, I'm sorry, I couldn't live up to your false expectations and unrealistic expectations because none of that shit was promised to any of you anyway. But I know the result will be testimonials like I've already received from all around the world anyway. And I think that even if I just got one, a young man from Germany just sent me a card and a little keychain. There was a shamrock. And how it stayed in the envelope, I don't know, because literally the envelope was split on the right side. And all I had to do was pick the envelope up and turn it to its side, and the keychain came out of it. I'm like, how the hell did this come all the way from Germany and not fall out? So he sends me this link to a YouTube channel where he leaves me a message, and my wife and I were watching it, and he was struggling to try to wish us a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and it shows appreciation for what he's learning and such. And it was emotional to watch that because he didn't have to do that. Like he didn't have to do those things at all. And it didn't cost much, I'm sure, in terms of money, but the aspect of him taking the time out to say, hey, look, I appreciate what you've done and thank you. And he let me see his face. He let me hear his own tongue and his own voice say that. I've had so many of those things and they're touching, they're moving to me. And I have a face to put to. I have a lot of screen names. I have a lot of student IDs and all these people with names. I don't know how to associate anything with them. Some of you, I know you by your profile picture that ain't even you. It's something not even a human. It's some kind of icon. But the majority of you, I don't know your voice. I don't know what your face looks like, but I have a lot of them that have shared that with me. And I want that so much because and I haven't shared them that, like I haven't never put them out there public. I would never do that. They're for me. They're for me and my family. When my wife sees these, number one, she gets to see how it impacts me. And I watch her moved by it because it makes it more palatable for her. She understands now when she sees it's not just a video going up on YouTube about a video game. It's like, in her eyes, it's like these folks that make these video game YouTube channels, they're playing video games and they're talking shit at once, talking smack. I'm playing you, I'm beating you. That's her. That's what she's always viewed it as. Like it's a video game and I'm just talking to other people I'm competing against, not realizing that I'm pouring myself out into all of your lives and your understanding so that way you can be better. And when she hears it and she sees it, I'm thankful for that because clearly my talking about it wasn't enough articulation for her to really get what it is that drives me. All of you, every single one of you, I felt just like you feel or felt when you first started. And it was scary. It was stressful. I felt like I was never going to get it. I felt like I was never going to figure this stuff out. And it just feels good to be in a position where I know that I know and I can share it with you. I'm so thankful that the Lord has given me time to do it, energy to do it, the resources to do it, and the desire. Because as a young man, I never would have done this. I wouldn't have cared. I liked being the only one that could do it. I got off on that. And that's how you tell maturity. And it slowly happened by looking at people struggling on baby pips and seeing their shit that they tried this and losing money and they're getting frustrated. And I was sitting back here quietly, unbeknownst to all of you. I have all the answers. And I felt guilty. And I'm like, man, I don't want to be the center of attention as much as some of you people think I do. I don't. And I had to find a way where I could be influential, be under the radar, and still make an impact. So the approach I use is what you've seen. And just, I'm impressed that it caught fire like it did. No advertising, only people dabbling in it, seeing it work for themselves, and then spreading the word saying, this is what I'm doing. And it's neat. It's really neat to see it because it's not about me. It has nothing to do with me. It's the whole experience of it all. And all of you have unique experiences. And when I get to see you explain what it's done for you, it's amazing. It really is amazing. And I love it. Like, I absolutely love having a face associated with a student that put the time and effort in and listening to them weep and sharing that with me. You can't put a price tag on that. It stays with you. I'm just very thankful that I've been given an opportunity to be someone like this. And I hope that I'm helpful to all of you in the coming year. And I hope that you learn more from me and you become a better person, not just as a trader, but you're inspired to do more for other people. I think if you measure everything in that, you're going to find a much more purpose driven life, not about money and things. And you're certainly going to be much more interesting to other people. I learned that the hard way. I thought the bigger wallet the bigger toys and things would garner that only for so much. And then when they get around you, they find out who you are and you're an ugly person inside. Doesn't matter how much money you have then. Nobody really wants to entertain you. And they finally get to the point where, yeah, you might pay for dinner and you might pay for all the fun stuff, but I have other plans tonight. That's what would happen to you. And that's exactly what happened to me as a young man. So, anyway, I think that's going to be enough for this one. I wanted to have an opportunity to thank you all for spending your time with me this year, helping me grow our community. I'm very appreciative of that. I think our community is a unique one. For the most part, we all encourage one another, and I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful that you all appreciate the fact that this doesn't really have a place of deserving or that you're entitled to receive it. And you all understand that it's a gift. And I'm thankful that for the most part, you've all been respectful of me. And I'm thankful for that. My wife is thankful. Um, hoping that you all appreciate what I'm willing to do next year. And it's my prayer in Jesus' name that I'm able to reach more of you. I'm just excited to see where you all go with it. So later tonight, when you're ringing in the new year, just know I'm going to be smiling and thinking about all of you. I don't know all of your faces. I don't know all of your names, but all of you are in my thoughts. You're in my prayers, and you are all my goal in 2023. Have a happy and safe new year tonight. And I will speak to you again, probably on Tuesday. Until then, be safe.